Morning everyone and welcome back to the vlog. Now I'm on the east side of Loch Lomond today in a native forest, native to Scotland, and I've got a bit of a challenge set before me today because we've just come off the back end of Storm Amy and the weather has been really bad up through here. We've still got some strong winds and as you can see it's a bit of a grey overcast day. But this isn't an area that I've been to before, so I'm really looking forward to exploring it. Now, just as I've come down through the path here, already a beautiful oak with a birch sack next to it is just on my right-hand side that I'm going to go and have a look at. We're just in that sort of autumnal colours just starting to come through. We've got some silver birches, some nice bracken that's just started to turn. So hopefully that's a good start. Let's go and take a look. So you can sort of see what's caught my eye here. We've got this birch that's on the left-hand side that is kind of bending to the same shape of the oak. And then there's that beautiful splash of colour behind. There's a few sort of silver birches with a few leaves that are turning. Now, the problem that I've got that sort of instantly smacks me in the face is that the light is kind of behind the tree there. So we're fighting the light a little bit. What's really nice about that is that the sort of bracken and the leaves behind are well lit, but the trees themselves aren't. So probably not, maybe not the best time of the day, but this is a recce. So I don't want to leave without taking the photo. So what I'm going to do is kind of work my way around it a little bit. What I've noticed is as I've come further to the right, I'm getting much more gap between those two trees. I'd like to close that up a little bit just to emphasize the shapes that match. When I come further away, it's not quite so obvious, but as I come round and close up that gap, it looks nice. But I'd also really like to get some of those birches behind as well. So I'm going to pace around for a little while and just see where that falls. So this has proved to be a real challenge. I've come round to the right-hand side, really to try and get that branch. If you come right round here, that branch of the oak tree almost looks like it's putting its arm around the silver birch, which is really nice and makes for a nice composition. But the problem is there's a couple of young silver birches that are coming up just to the side here, which are sort of starting to infringe on my shot of the oak tree there. They're starting to overlap. And I'd really like to get a bit of that colour behind of that bracken turning. So I think I haven't found it yet, but I'm going to just keep working my way around just to find that perfect composition. So I did work my way around to the other side of those trees just to see what the light was going to be like, and it is much better. I mean, the light's behind and it's really nice and warm, but this is definitely my favourite position for a nice composition with those two trees complementing each other and that splash of colour behind. I'm hoping to get some of these sort of silver birches as well with just that speckle of leaves that are darted behind. So I'll set up and get the first shot in the bag and see how we go from there. So I'm going to put on a polarizer just to knock back some of that glare behind. I don't really want to make my exposure much longer because obviously there's a lot of movement in the trees, but it does need a polarizer just to knock back that glare from the sun coming down and hitting some of that wet foliage behind. So we'll pop that on. You can just see how high I've really got the tripod, just to sort of so that I can shoot down a little bit and get rid of some of that sky. So let me show you on the back of the camera what I'm looking at. Now, obviously those two trees are my main subjects and I like their shapes and the way that they work together. But there isn't an additional tree just on the right-hand side, which actually does help to balance out the composition. So if you look on the camera here, you can see we've got that one tree on the right hand side. I like that. I've still got that splash of colour behind with those silver birches just catching the light there. But if I spin the camera around just to my left, I also quite like just isolating those trees and making more of those silver birches. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably take both, and then the image that I show will be the one that I actually preferred. But it's beautiful. I mean, you know, you come out on a day like today and it is a real battle. You sort of got the wind against you, and sometimes there's a bit of light, but just being out here, it really is absolutely stunning. And sometimes you've got to remind yourself that it's just nice being out, getting some fresh air. So I'm definitely gonna have to bracket this shot. You can see that that sky's way too bright. So I'm going to take both compositions, bracketing for both, and well, this is the composition that I preferred. One of the things that I absolutely love about photographing in an old growth forest like this is just the diversity of trees. We have the old oaks with their real character that you find hidden amongst some of the trees, almost like guardians of the forest. Then you get the silver birches, the smaller ones huddled in groups with their soft leaves just blowing in the breeze, capturing that autumnal colour. And then we've got the hawthorn that's just got that beautiful dark berry at this time of the year, just giving the woodland that splash of colour. And it's amazing when you just stop and sit and look around you, just at the variety of trees and foliage. It really is a beautiful scene. When you're photographing a scene like the one behind me, never worry about photographing into the light. Position the camera so that sun is behind one of the branches. Make sure you bracket so you've got plenty of exposures to work with, possibly blending later, but that beautiful light capturing the silhouette of that stunning oak tree is certainly worth capturing. So I've come down into a bit of a clearing down here in the forest, and what's caught my eye, I was walking along the path, but what's really caught my eye is that silver birch. There's three trees together there, but just on the right hand side is a silver birch which has got two main trunks that are coming up that are sort of twisting with each other, and then there's that speckle of leaves where they're just turning. So what I want to try and do is eliminate everything else and just try and capture those two twisting trunks. Now I've put on the 70 to 200 millimeter lens. The reason why I haven't got a lot closer with a shorter lens is because obviously then that tree is going to start to go into the sky, and I like that texture of trees behind it and that background. You can see that the wind's really blowing it around, but it's a beautiful tree. And then we've got this bracken in front of it, which is all sorts of shades of copper and oranges. It's beautiful just the way it's turning there. So I'm going to put on a polarizer, as I said, 70 to 200 millimeter lens. Say it fast enough and anything comes out. So I'm going to zoom right in and make sure that I capture just that isolated portrait shot and some of that bracken. But what I'll do is I'll set up and then I'll show you what I'm looking at on the back of the camera. So let me show you what I'm looking at on the back of the camera. So I've zoomed right into that tree on the right hand side, that birch with those two trunks that sort of intertwine. I'm not sure if it's one tree that's split or whether they're two separate trees, but I really love that shape. Now, I've positioned the tree slightly to my left. If I rotate the camera around slightly, you'll see that I start to introduce that tree by the side of it. I don't want to do that. I just want to have those two trunks in my image. And you can see that beautiful bracken at the front there that's really sort of got that autumnal colour to it. I've got a little bit of there's some pine forest right up on the hill behind, which is quite nice. I like the darkness of that sat against the top of the tree. You can see that there's still quite a bit of wind, so chances of me not getting any movement in it are pretty zilch, but that might be quite nice, just softening down the tops of those trees. So I'm going to take that shot, and I've got on the polarizer, again, just to knock back a little bit of the glare. But wow, just absolutely beautiful. It really is stunning being out here today. That light's really nice and soft, just keeps creeping behind the trees. But wow, what a beautiful day. So I think that's it for this episode of the vlog. It's been absolutely stunning coming through this old growth forest with its variety of trees. We've photographed oaks, silver birches, and we've discovered so many different plants and species coming through here. It really is an absolute splash of colour. Even though we haven't got full on into autumn yet, those leaves are really starting to turn. So thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. Hit the bell notification. Don't forget you can get a copy of our new ebook, 15 breathtaking locations to photograph around Scotland, with links to episodes of the vlog and recommendations on gear to take with you. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next episode.